Hey guys, it's your host Patricia. I want to welcome you to today's episode of The Dialogue. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you to everyone that is coming and tuning in today. I want you to know that our mantra is that we're healing souls one conversation at a time. So today we're going to be talking about on the other side of darkness. On the other side of darkness. So unfortunately for all of us, we were born and shaped in sin and iniquity. However, God is so sovereign and able to forgive all of us despite our shortcomings or anything that will separate us from the love of God. And so today, I really want to talk about on the other side of darkness, but I more so less want to dedicate this to our men. And most of you know me, I am such of an advocate for women. I deal a lot with women that have been emotionally, mentally, verbally, physically, spiritually, financially abused. Of course, we can't forget sexually, if I haven't already said that already, because a lot of women have been raped and molested, even just in their childhood. However, I don't want to say that as though men have not. I believe statistically, if men were willing to be more open and honest or transparent and unafraid, meaning vulnerable, their statistics would be quite high. Because you see a lot of our men that have been molested and raped, they are in such toxic situations, abusive situations. And we're going to go deep into it today because I'm actually on fire. I've had the opportunity to talk to as well as witness so much abuse that happens to men. Ladies, if you are listening to this, this is not to take away from the things that have happened to you. If you ever been raped or molested or abused or anything has happened to you, I sincerely apologize. However, today, I really want to focus on our men. I don't know what it is, but my heart is really being gravitated to our men. Because I always start a season by asking God a question. And in this season, my question has been, Lord, what has happened to our men? What has happened to our men? You know, there's a scripture in the Bible that says that God will return the hearts of the fathers back to the children and the children's hearts back to the father. And it really makes me curious in regards to generationally. Of course, that was a hard word for me. Generationally, our men. When our men are told as young boys that they can't cry or they're being a punk or they're being a fag because they're sensitive or they have emotions, that's a problem. When our men are young and they're growing up in a parent's household with single women, they're not able to talk or express how they feel, that's a problem. When men are only made as little boys to take out the trash or do whatever they're told, but they're not able to express how they authentically feel, that's a problem. And so we find ourselves in a time when our men are really, really abused. And so when a man gets abused as a child, as a little boy, he becomes abusive. I feel as though if a man becomes abusive, it can destroy a whole nation. It can destroy a whole culture. It can destroy so much more because a lot of men are more passive aggressive when they're destroying things. Some of them don't even know that they're as destructive as what they are. Because it's really hard as a man sometimes to go in there, to do the work, to be understood, to not be misjudged or treated inappropriately because you do have a problem. And you could tell by the way that men treat women. You could tell by the way that this man treats himself, if they love themselves or not. Recently, I've had the opportunity to talk to different men that have been abused as children and then grew older to enter into abusive relationships with women. Problem being that if this man enters into a relationship with a toxic woman, more than often he turns toxic or has already been toxic because of the mother. Now he's attracted a toxic female. And because of that, he goes on to spread more toxicity. So what is the common thread? What is the answer? Our men need healing. Our men need healing. But so many of them have done so much to hurt women so brutally and so bad. By the time that you get in there to try to help them or help them heal, you're tired and you're exhausted because they've done so much damage. I got an opportunity to watch a video clip the other day of this young man doing a podcast, and he was talking about how molestation from an older woman actually caused him to be damaged. He was saying how when he was a little boy, he was molested by an older woman, but on top of that, he had a mother that was negligent. So because he was not receiving the love that he needed from his mother and having the issue of being sexually exploited and molested, it caused him to become older. And he didn't know how to latch onto women for a healthy reason. When he finally did decide that he wanted love and to come out of being a player or a pimp or whatever you want to call it, exploiting women for sex, he would pull on these women for love. But he said some of them were overwhelmed with how much he needed, and they left. Because he said that he started to realize that he could not make these women compensate for the love that he needed from his mother. Meaning that these women were not his mother. They were women. And he could get love from them as women, but not love from them as his mother. And so many of our men have wounds. They have mommy wounds. They have daddy wounds. So many of us are expecting these men to be awesome and great fathers, and they don't have fathers. We applaud the ones that are able to do it, that have not had the pouring into it, understanding of what fatherhood has been, but it's a struggle. It's a struggle. And I find myself on the end of criticism a lot of times, meaning I'm serving the criticism and the disappointment in our men because a lot of them have not been taught appropriately. And for that, I apologize. They have grown up. They have gotten older. But some of them are still stunted in their growth. And the ironic and interesting part is that they're stunted. But it's the women that want them to remain stunted. Because a lot of women want to be these men's mothers. It's not a problem with holding someone accountable or suggesting or recommending what they should do or trying to edge them along the path of what they should be doing. Because that's a lot of times why the men become abusive, because they don't want the woman in their life that's telling them, okay, this is going to help you. They do that woman wrong. But the woman that helps them stay childish, the woman that helps them stay insecure, the woman that helps them, makes them feel like security is just them being there all the time and they don't have a life outside of the relationship. These are unhealthy, toxic women that keep these men immature from accepting their responsibility, doing what they need to do. And matter of fact, just growing up to make better decisions by themselves and by others. Our men are in trouble. They've been in trouble. But I also believe that there are men that are crying out. There are men that are crying out. They want the help. They want the nurturing. They want the healing. They want the deliverance. But it's on the other side of darkness. All of this that we just discussed is darkness. Our men being told when they're 11 and 12 years old, the more women that you sleep with, the better off that you are. They're turning them into pimps and predators at young ages. So we can't blame them when they grow up and they're sleeping with a lot of men. Sleeping with a lot of women to secure the masculinity. But that's just a broken man with fragmented pieces that's looking to put those pieces in different places. It will never make him whole. A man that sleeps with a lot of women, that is not a whole man. That's a broken man. So my question is, as a society, as a woman that will eventually have a young boy to raise, hopefully in married union, how do we help our men that are broken? How do we help our men that when they get around women that are evil, shape shift to make this woman feel more secure about herself because she's evil and refuses to tell him the right thing to do? How do we as people deal when a woman gets an attitude or she gets mad. She calls on the man to strong arm other people, but she's lied about the situation or circumstances. How do we deal with women that use the police and governmental forces such as child support or anything else to break a man down? And he's so broken now, he doesn't even want to be in his kid's life because he's upset about the circumstances. How do we help our men heal? That's our question. I'm going to give you some bullet points because you never know. There might be a man on the verge of so desperately needing and wanting to be healed and whole. And I believe that it may not come from his biological mother. It may come from an aunt. It may come from a sister. It may come from a girlfriend or even an ex-girlfriend that has finally come to terms with her not wanting to be in a relationship with this man, but desperately seeing and needing that he needs help. So these bullet points are going to help you. I don't think I have a lot of them, but I think I have a couple. First one, we have to make up our minds as people that no matter how mad this man gets, no matter how irritated he feels, we are going to take on the clothing of honesty. We are not going to be afraid to be honest with these men and pull their coattail and tell them that that is wrong. Because he may not hear you right when you say it, but he'll hear it at the right time. Honesty is key. We cannot lie to these men. Yes, they may be fine. They may have a good job. They may be making money, and there may be some good attributes about them. But we cannot let our men walk around mentally and emotionally, and especially spiritually, dead, sick, and ill because we're lying to them. We have to really put on the armor as women to say, hey, that was wrong. No, he may not call you. He may not want to talk to you. Friendship might even get to deteriorated, but at least you stood your ground. Honesty is number one. Number two, accountability. Honesty is holding someone accountable. If a man comes into your life and tells you that he's going to date you and not cheat on you, and when he does, He doesn't have any remorse or anything like that. And we just keep taking them back and we just keep loving on them and things like that. It's not a problem with loving on somebody, but you can love a person and make them accountable too. You did me wrong. You were wrong for what you did. Hold them accountable. Don't always just forsake yourself so much to the point where he starts to forsake you because he sees you're doing it to yourself. Because what happens is that woman grows stone cold and bitter once she sees how often she's forsaken. Number one is honesty. Number two is accountability. Number three, we can do it with grace. We can hold these men accountable and be honest with grace. I'm learning a lot. None of this stuff was taught to me. I'm literally learning it the best as I go. I do have one friend in my life. She is amazingly awesome, and she does talk to me a lot. But once emotions get involved, a lot of times things just fly off the handle. Nobody's perfect. We're seeking for perfection. However, a lot of times it is hard sometimes to be graceful with someone who has committed the same offenses over and over and over, ran over you over and over and over, backed up, ran over you again. It can be hard to be graceful. It can be hard. But through my many mistakes, this is why I am recommending that it be done through grace. Because I've lost out on a couple friendships from males. Not to say that they actually were needed or that they should have remained in my life. But when it was time for accountability as well as honesty, it didn't move them the right way. Especially a lot of times because it could have been coming through an argument because you're just so burnt out and tired from dealing with whatever you have to deal with from that person. So no, it's not always easy, but I do firmly believe that a man that can come into a household and have himself straight to straighten out the foundation or level it out is a very blessed man. And I'm not talking about leveling it out through finances and all those things are needed, but I'm talking about spiritually. where he's able to align with God and he can hear from God because God is telling him like, hey, you need to go and sit down somewhere because you got some issues and you need to heal because you're destroying people and you're destroying their lives. On the other side of darkness, because a lot of the ways that our men has been taught has been completely wrong. And so this is so interesting because this comes at a time where I was actually reading Exodus 1 yesterday. And this is when Pharaoh was intimidated and afraid of the next king that was to come. And he told the Hebrew midwives to kill the children, the boys. And by faith, the women didn't do it. They obeyed God and not the government. They obeyed God and not Pharaoh. And this was a law that they passed. The law was passed for them to annihilate these boys that will become men. So for a lot of you men, it has started when you were children. The enemy trying to annihilate you and annihilate your voice and your masculinity. It started when you were little boys. And these women did not do it. They didn't obey. And because of that, Moses' life was spared. His life was spared. And it's so ironic because I was reading how it said that Pharaoh wanted the boys to be drowned in the sea. He wanted them just to be tossed into the sea. The funny part is the same way that Pharaoh wanted to destroy the boys was the same way that God used Moses to save his people when he became an adult. God walked them right on through the Red Sea, and Pharaoh was behind them then trying to capture them. So, no, he didn't die in the ocean, but he also led a lot of other people on over to safety into their promised land. So if we do the right thing and we do it the right way, how many of our men can we trust to lead us out of bondages, into deliverance, into mental health, into intimacy, into healthy marriages? I am not beating up on any men that have endured any type of hardship, tragedy. But the truth is the truth. We as women out here, we need a lot of guidance and we need a lot of help. We need a lot of protection. We just need our men. I will never for the life of me understand how in the United States of America, people, especially women, can say, I don't need a man. That is pride. And it comes from the pit of hell and it's from the devil. God you never heard God say, we don't need men. If that was the case, he never would have made man. God always used men as well, civilization as in people, but he always used a man. Jesus Christ was a man. So we have to look at the bigger picture. If our men are drowning in the sea of their adversity, Father God, help us to humble ourselves to be able to give them words of honesty, accountability, and grace, that they may not drown in what the enemy is trying to annihilate them in. It can be relationships, it can be finances, it can be a job, it can be abandoning a family or their children. Whatever they're drowning in, Father, we pray that you give them grace. No, they may not like what we have to say, but the truth is the truth. And so many of our men need truth, Father. And we trust you to give us the grace, the knowledge, the insight, the understanding, even insight into their past, their present, and their future. To be women and our people that birth them out on the other side of darkness through truth, which is honesty, accountability, and grace. I really hope that you guys share this with somebody. I know it was way more intense and it's something that is really different. God is really shifting a lot of my content. And that's okay because obviously he has something that he wants to say. But as you know, our mantra on this show is that we're healing souls one conversation at a time. It is my prayer that you share this with someone if they are in need of help. May God bless you and strengthen you and provide all your needs. We'll be back with more content at a later day. Bye.